This week you will be working on topics of argument, so prepare for the assignment. Please read Rhetorical Analysis, a brief guide for writers, pages 71 to 76, and of course the topic is topics. Please study these terms: topics, material topics, topics of the real, topics of the preferable, topics for arranging hierarchies of value, prudentia, field-specific material topics, commonplaces. Formal topics: definition, genus and species, example, analogy, correlative ideas, greater and lesser, difference, antithesis, contradictories, cause and effects, antecedents, concomitants, association. These are discussed in some detail in the chapter in these very few pages, and they are to be used actually in terms of doing research as a way of helping you think out, shall we say, a type of topic you might want to research, a type of topic that you find in your reading that you want to study, that you want to analyze. So these are good ways of sort of categorizing ways of thinking about information. And please read Jen Christensen and Michael Nettleman's Climate Change Will Shrink U.S. Economy and Kill Thousands, Government Report Warns. And I have an assignment for you for the week that I admit it, I borrowed it directly from your book. It's on page 76. So here is the activity for this week. Develop a sketch of the rhetorical situation for climate change will shrink U.S. economy and kill thousands, government report warns. And review pages 71 to 76 in your textbook. Do you see any assumptions in the CNN article about what should be valued, material topics of the preferable, or about what exists, material topics of the real? Do you see any claims or assumptions about things that tend to use or be associated with other things, formal topics of cause, antecedents, or association? You will probably find that some topics are more applicable than others, depending on what it is you are reading. The point at first is simply to generate an inventory of analytical observations. Ultimately, you'll probably will want to focus your analysis on how these topics get woven together into a larger argument. Then develop an argument in which you explicate the argumentation of the text, or the topics you have focused on, how they work together, and how they engage with the practical reasoning process of the audience. These, again, are, English 3 is supposed to be about critical thinking, and it's supposed to be about learning how to break down the arguments that you see and identify what is true, valid, valuable in each one. And so this week, you'll be looking at the CNN article by Jensen Christensen and Michael Nettleman called Climate Change Will Shrink U.S. Economy and Kill Thousands, Government Report Warns. You'll be reading that and you'll be studying the types of topics that you find in there. So in a couple of paragraphs, 400 to 500 words, describe each of the 4 topic types listed below using at least one example of each from the CNN article. So you are, again, to read Climate Change Will Shrink U.S. Economy and Kill Thousands, Government Report Warns. And you'll be analyzing it for a topic of the preferable, a topic of the real, a topic of cause, and a topic of antecedents. So essentially, find an example of each of those things in that article. And in your paragraphs, discuss each of these 4 topics: preferable, real, cause, and antecedents. Discuss each one at a time. Begin with the name of the type of topic, and you are to provide an example of each one coming from the CNN article and prove that it is an example, right? Show your reasoning. Okay, so that is that, and let's get a quick glance. Here's the CNN article. Okay, you can see it looks like there's a video that you can watch. And here's our introduction. A new U.S. government report delivers a dire warning about climate change and its devastating impacts, saying the economy could lose hundreds of billions of dollars, or, in the worst case scenario, more than 10% of its GDP, gross domestic product, I believe that means, by the end of the century. And this article was published on November 26, 2018, so it's not very old. Fairly recent. The federally mandated study was supposed to come out in December, but was released by the Trump administration on Friday, at a time when many Americans are on a long holiday weekend, distracted by family and shopping. David Easterling, director of the Technical Support Unit at the NOAA, National Centers for Environmental Information, emphasized that there was, quote, no external interference in the report's development, end quote. He added that the climate change the Earth is experiencing is unlike any other. Quote, the global average temperature is much higher and is rising more rapidly than anything modern civilization has experienced, and this warming trend can only be explained by human activities, end quotation, Easterling said. All right, so anyway, gives you an idea of what it's all about, and it is broken into sections. These first several very small paragraphs make up an introduction. The first body section is called The Expense. It's quite short, and then there's a second body section called Impacts on Our Health, and a third body section called Heat and Flooding, a fourth body section called What Can Be Done, a fifth body section called Time for Action, and actually I think I might be wrong. Time for Action looks like it's probably the conclusion. So there you go. I hope you enjoy your task. Have a good week.